All right, so just taking my little Piper Cub S out for a flight here. So this is I think it's my 5th flight ever. The first time I've ever flown, or the 5th time I've ever flown in an airplane. And this is my 5th flight ever. I've only done simulator flying with the airplanes. Now I've flown some RC helicopter, but not airplane at all. This is my first airplane, and this is my 5th flight. So first airplane ever, 5th flight. Just taking it out here. So far, I'll tell you, this thing has been great. Just get a little there. That's good. Yeah. So far, this thing has really been great. Let's take a look at the wind. All right, so the wind is coming that way. I'm just gonna bring this thing around. Now, really, honestly, I think I could take off from any direction, but I'm gonna go into the wind just to make it easier. There you see it, and off in about 10 feet. So again, this is my 5th flight ever. And I've really enjoyed it. I mean, so far, I've pretty much been able to just pick this thing up and fly it. Now, I did do the first flight ever kind of with like an instructor, and I have my DX9 that I have this airplane on, and actually the instructor had the DX9 and I had my little DX6, and we had the buddy box set up, and I did fly one flight like that. But then the second flight, I was going to have him fly with me, and the batteries were dead on the DX6. And he said, just take it up. You did fine. So there it is, 0 throttle coming by. So I would recommend on your first flight or two, if you have never flown an airplane before, either you do some time on the sim first. The simulator is absolutely priceless, just an invaluable training tool. And I highly, highly recommend you do some sim time before you even try to fly the thing. Oh, that was a weird perspective. I don't like that. So do some sim time before you even fly at all. We do have some wind going on out here, so it is a foam airplane. It gets a little squirrely in the wind. But I mean, as you can see, this is my second session flying and my 5th flight, and I'm out here in some light winds, and I would say that I'm doing just fine. Definitely worse when I'm going with the wind. It starts making it very difficult to, not very difficult, but it makes it more difficult to fly. See, now we're going against the wind, and it just stabilizes right out. I mean, you can slow this thing almost down to nothing. Now, for the purposes of the video, I'm trying to get low and slow, just so you guys get more than like a fingernail of an airplane going by. And what I find is that, like I just saying, if I'm going against the wind, it's not bad. But when you're going with the wind, it gets a little, you can see that it gets a little tail squirrely. Whereas once I swing it around and I'm flying against the wind, God, I can pretty much slow this thing right down to almost nothing, and it's pretty stable. And look at the stability there. Now again, this is my 5th flight ever, and for the purposes of the video, I am flying pretty low and pretty slow. And so this, I'm not even going to try to get that low. I know this battery is getting a little weak. The battery in that airplane right now is from my first Blade 400 helicopter ever. That battery is about 11 years old. So it's not the best battery. But I'm super happy with the airplane, and I have to say that I've done a lot of sim flying, and I've never really been that drawn to the airplanes from flying them on the sim. I mostly got the sim for helicopter flying. I have to say that there is something so much better about flying a real model, a real airplane, opposed to the sim. You might get a decent flight quality simulation out of the sim, but flying the airplane in real life, to me, is so much better than flying it on the simulator. I'm really enjoying this little Cub. Now we'll see how it goes. I have a Habu coming, so I'll put in a little more time and a couple more flights on this. Now there's the timer. Being this battery is so old, I am not going to play around here, and I am going to bring this thing in. Whoop. So, came in just a little bit high, and when the wheels came down, rolled it over. That's actually the first time that's happened. But, as you can see, no damage, and that's what's great about this thing. It's pretty forgiving. Little grass on the front there. I absolutely love it. I think it's a great little plane. If you haven't flown RC airplane before, I think you absolutely love it. You know, I got the bind and fly and threw it on one of the channels of my DX9, and I'm not bored with it at all. And I have a bunch of little helicopters. I have a 180. I've flown a lot. I have a 360. I have 3 500s and a 650 helicopter. And I am having a ton of fun with this little airplane. It's just simple flying fun. And if you're thinking about picking one up, I'll tell you something. You should do it. It's a ton of fun. It's to me, versus the helicopter, just a little bit more relaxed, a little easier, really enjoying to just get out here and fly. You know, the helicopter is a little more intense. You know, after a day's work, stop at the airfield with this thing and do a little flying. It's great. I think for Horizon Hobby really did an outstanding job on this airplane. It is a great little airplane, and I think even if you have flown, you would enjoy it. But if you're new to this is probably the perfect plane. I took it up and flew it my first flight pretty much without a problem. The instructor only took over once or twice, only because I was getting low and slow, and he said from that point he couldn't save me if I got myself in trouble. So then we got a little more altitude off the ground. But I flew pretty much the whole flight without any assistance and landed my first flight rate rolled out fine. Now, the other 4 flights that I've flown, that's the first time I've ever had the airplane come over like that. I assume it happened because I didn't have any throttle in at all, and I was trying to lose too much altitude all at once. But as you can see, it didn't do any damage to the airplane. So, great little airplane. I'll tell you what, if you're thinking about getting one, I would say absolutely do it.